The invasion begins. Fleet Commander Zirax stood on the bridge of the Dominion's Glory, flagship of the Valoran Armada. Through the viewing portal, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space. Such a beautiful world, soon to be another prize in the Valoran collection. Primitive defenses detected, Commander, reported Tactical Officer Vex. Their orbital stations carry basic kinetic weapons and rudimentary energy shields. Their fleet consists of approximately 300 vessels, most concentrated around their moon. Zirax's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of amusement among the Valoran species. 300 against our 10,000. They must realize resistance is futile. For 6 centuries, the Valoran Empire had expanded across the galaxy, subjugating 17 species across 900 worlds. None had withstood them for more than a standard cycle. Their warships stretched kilometers in length, armed with weapons that could crack planets and shielded against the fury of dying stars. Supreme Admiral Dren will be pleased with this conquest, said Zirax's second-in-command, Sub-Commander Luris. Their water-rich world will serve our hydroponics projects well. And the humans themselves will make adequate labor resources. Begin standard conquest protocol, ordered Zirax. Send the diplomatic vessel with our terms of surrender. The Mercy's Light, a sleek silver ship bearing the Valoran peace insignia, detached from the fleet and moved toward Earth's defense perimeter. Its mission was simple: deliver the Empire's non-negotiable terms of surrender, allowing the humans to retain limited autonomy under Valoran rule. They're transmitting something, said Communications Officer Krex, putting it on screen. A human female appeared, dressed in a blue uniform adorned with symbols of rank. Her face showed no fear, only calm resolve. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We are receiving your transmission. Zirax stepped forward. I am Fleet Commander Zirax of the Valoran Empire. We offer terms of surrender that will spare your species unnecessary suffering. Submit to Valoran authority, and your major population centers will remain intact. Resist, and we will demonstrate power beyond your comprehension. Admiral Chen's expression remained unchanged. We appreciate your offer, Commander. Perhaps we could discuss this further. We're transmitting coordinates for a neutral meeting location. Coordinates received, reported Krex. It's a space station orbiting their 4th planet. Zirax considered the request. A diplomatic meeting would allow them to assess human leadership more closely. Prepare my shuttle. I will meet with them personally. Bring the Dominion's glory into position to overshadow their station. Let them see the futility of resistance. The meeting lasted precisely 6 minutes. Zirax delivered the Empire's terms, while Admiral Chen listened quietly. When he finished, she simply smiled. Commander Zirax, humanity has a long history of being underestimated. Before you continue, I suggest you check on your flagship. A communication from the Dominion's Glory interrupted. Commander, we're experiencing system failures across all decks. Weapons offline. Shields compromised. Something's infiltrated our network. Impossible. Zirax hissed. Our systems are quantum encrypted. Quantum encryption. Admiral Chen's smile widened slightly. How quaint. We moved beyond that decades ago. We just didn't advertise it. Zirax's inner eyelids flickered with rage. This deception changes nothing. We have 10,000 ships. Even if you've developed technology beyond our intelligence reports, you cannot hope to match our numbers. This is your only warning, Commander, said Admiral Chen, standing to end the meeting. Take your fleet and leave our system. We have no interest in conflict, but we will defend ourselves. Zirax stormed back to his shuttle. The humans had revealed their technological capabilities too soon. Now the Valorans would adjust their strategy accordingly. As the Dominion's glory restored its systems, Zirax ordered the first phase of the invasion. 500 warships descended on Earth's outer colonies, Mars, Europa, and the settlements in the asteroid belt. The attacks were swift and devastating. Human defenses crumbled under concentrated bombardment. Within hours, the outlying colonies fell silent. First phase complete, Commander, reported Vex. Minimal resistance encountered. Broadcast our victory across all frequencies, ordered Zirax. Let Earth witness the fate of defiance. The conquest continued with mechanical precision. The Velaran fleet divided, targeting installation after installation. Each victory strengthened Zirax's confidence. Whatever technological surprise the humans had demonstrated against the Dominion's glory appeared to be an isolated capability. Then they encountered Outpost Theta. The small station orbiting Neptune seemed insignificant, barely worth a detachment of 50 ships under Sub-Commander Neros aboard the Relentless Dawn. Standard scans showed minimal defenses and a small population, nothing that would challenge even a fraction of the Velaran might. Sub-Commander Neros reports Outpost Theta in visual range, announced Communications Officer Krex. They're moving to engage. Excellent, said Zirax. Once the outer system is secure, we'll... Krex interrupted, panic in his voice. Commander, the Relentless Dawn is sending emergency signals. They're under attack from unknown vessels. They're appearing out of nowhere. The tactical display showed chaos. Dozens of human ships materialized around the Velaran detachment, moving with impossible speed and precision. They weren't the bulky, primitive vessels observed earlier, but sleek, predatory craft that seemed to phase through Velaran shields. This is Sub-Commander Neros. The transmission crackled with weapons fire in the background. They're inside our formations. Their weapons are bypassing our shields. There. The transmission cut off as 50 Velaran warships vanished in synchronized explosions. Before Zirax could process this development, new contacts appeared on the tactical display. Hundreds of them, emerging from behind Neptune's moon Triton. Leading them was a vessel that dwarfed even the Dominion's glory. A familiar face appeared on the communication screen. Commander Zirax, said Admiral Chen. I believe we declined your generous offer of surrender. Now, let me extend one of our own. The human fleet moved with unnerving coordination, splitting into formations that seemed to anticipate every Velaran maneuver. Their smaller vessels darted between Velaran ships, causing confusion and friendly fire incidents. Their larger cruisers unleashed weapons that ignored shielding entirely, cutting through Velaran hulls like they were made of vapor. Target their command ship, Zirax ordered, desperation creeping into his voice. All vessels, concentrate fire on the human flagship. Thousands of Velaran warships focused their weapons on Admiral Chen's vessel. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes converged on a single point, only to be absorbed by some invisible barrier surrounding the human ship. Sir, Tactical Officer Vex's voice trembled. We've lost 2,000 ships. 3,000. 4. Impossible. Zirax slammed his fist on the command console. They're only humans. Primitive, backward humans. But the tactical display told the truth. The once mighty Velaran armada was being systematically dismantled by a force they had grievously underestimated. Launch the planet killers, Zirax commanded, his voice cold with fury. If we cannot have their world, no one will. Before the doomsday weapons could be deployed, sensors detected a massive energy signature entering the system. What emerged from faster-than-light travel made every Velaran on the bridge freeze in terror. The real battle hadn't even begun. The Reckoning. The vessel that materialized at the edge of the solar system defied conventional classification. It stretched nearly 30 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull composed of materials that absorbed all scanning attempts. This wasn't merely a warship, it was humanity's ultimate deterrent. By the ancestral void, whispered Sub-Commander Luris. What is that thing? A new transmission reached the Dominion's glory. The human who appeared wore a different uniform from Admiral Chen, darker, unadorned with medals or insignia. This is Captain Elijah Reeves of the Earth Defense Force Dreadnought Nemesis. You have attacked Earth colonies and killed Earth citizens. Your options for surrender are now limited. The Nemesis moved with impossible grace for something of its size. its massive form gliding through space as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions. The psychological impact was immediate. Panic spread through the Velaran ranks as officers realized the true scale of their miscalculation. "Maintain formation," Zurax commanded, but his voice cracked. Fear, an emotion unknown to most Velarans, flooded his system. The Nemesis didn't immediately attack. Instead, its hull began to transform, sections shifting and reconfiguring to reveal weapon systems beyond Velaran comprehension. One particularly massive aperture on its bow began to glow with energy that registered off Velaran scanning scales. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Zurax ordered. Too late. The Nemesis unleashed its first salvo, not a beam or projectile, but a distortion in space-time itself. The fabric of reality rippled outward from the human dreadnought, engulfing hundreds of Velaran ships. When the distortion subsided, the vessels remained physically intact but completely powerless, drifting like dead husks. "They've weaponized gravity," the science officer reported, her voice hollow with disbelief. "Our ships are experiencing time dilation effects. Their crews are still alive, but subjectively experiencing time at a fraction of normal speed." The tactical display showed the true capabilities of the Nemesis. Its hull contained launch bays for thousands of smaller craft, each one a match for a Velaran cruiser. But worse than its weapons was the creeping realization. Humanity had possessed this power all along. They had watched, studied, and allowed the Velarans to believe they held the technological advantage. The Nemesis was not a desperate last resort. It was a predator that had been waiting patiently while its prey walked willingly into its jaws. "All ships, full retreat," Zurax finally ordered, his pride shattered. "Disengage and prepare for emergency FTL jump." But retreat proved as difficult as resistance. The human fleet had encircled the remaining Velaran forces, methodically cutting off escape routes. Admiral Chen's vessels herded the invaders like shepherds corralling wayward animals, while the Nemesis hung in space like an artificial sun, its weapon ports glowing with contained power. In his desperation, Zurax made the worst tactical decision possible. "All remaining ships, concentrate fire on the Nemesis. Ignore the smaller vessels." 6,000 years of Velaran military doctrine became obsolete in moments. While they focused all their efforts on the seemingly impervious dreadnought, Admiral Chen's fleet struck from multiple angles. Their smaller ships phased through Velaran formations, their weapons slicing through supposedly impenetrable shields, as if they didn't exist. "Sir," Communications Officer Krex reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the human command network. I think they forgot to encrypt it." "Put it through," Zurax ordered, grasping at any potential advantage. "Admiral Chen to all Earth vessels," came the familiar voice. "Remember, we need survivors. The Supreme Council wants witnesses to carry the message back to the Velaran Empire." The realization hit Zurax like a physical blow. This wasn't simply a defensive action. It was a calculated demonstration. The humans weren't fighting to survive. They were fighting to send a message. "Cease all attacks," Zurax commanded, his voice barely audible. "Power down weapon systems. Broadcast surrender on all frequencies." The bridge fell silent as the once proud commander of 10,000 warships acknowledged defeat. Of the massive armada that had entered the Sol system with conquest in mind, fewer than 500 vessels remained operational. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main view screen one final time. "Commander Zurax, we accept your surrender. Your remaining ships will be escorted to the edge of our system. You will take a message to your leaders. Earth and all human territories are permanently closed to Velaran presence. Any future incursion will be met with the full measure of our capabilities. What you've witnessed today was a fraction of our defense capacity." The surviving Velaran ships limped toward the jump point, their sensors recording everything. As they prepared to leave the system, the Nemesis performed one final demonstration. It targeted an uninhabited planetoid in the outer system, firing its main weapon at partial power. The planetoid didn't explode or fragment. It simply ceased to exist, leaving only a perfectly spherical void in space where matter once had been. 30 days later, Zirac stood before the Velaran High Council, delivering his report on the failed invasion. The chamber remained silent as he detailed humanity's technological superiority and the devastating losses suffered by the Empire's fleet. In conclusion, Zirax finished, "I recommend a permanent quarantine of the Sol system and all human-controlled territories. They are not the primitives we believe them to be. They possess technology that defies our understanding of physics. Most concerning of all, they showed restraint. They could have annihilated our entire fleet, but chose to allow survivors to return." The Counselor Prime leaned forward. "And why would they do that, Commander?" "To send a message," Zirax replied. "They wanted us to know that they could have destroyed us utterly, but chose not to. They wanted us to understand that they prefer peace, but are prepared for war on a scale we cannot match." As the Council debated their response to this unprecedented defeat, Zirax reflected on the lessons learned at terrible cost. The Velaran Empire had conquered 17 species by overwhelming force, never considering that they might one day encounter a power greater than their own. Humanity had revealed itself not as prey, but as an apex predator that had been watching from the shadows, waiting to see if the newcomers would choose cooperation or conflict. The Velarans had chosen poorly, and the consequences would reshape galactic politics for generations to come. In the centuries that followed, a saying spread throughout the galaxy. There are two kinds of spacefaring civilizations, those who have learned to respect humanity, and those who are about to.